Hello everyone. We can all agree that Justice League, Teen Titans, and even the Endless are all powerful groups, right? Well, what if I told you there was a group out there more powerful than all these groups combined? Every story in the DC universe coming from this one race. Get ready for the most powerful group in the entirety of DC. The DC multiverse's origin has a lot of myths. For example, in Sandman Dream of a Thousand Cats, it's revealed in the universe that humans were once ruled by cats. Humans didn't like this, so they believed the origin of the universe to be different, and it worked. Another instance is when it's stated that the universe was made by the voice of God. But this is all purely belief and speculation. At this point, I'm going to reveal to you the true origin of the DC multiverse. Let me explain. The Great Hand Theory was one of the most consistent theories for the creation of the multiverse, such as when a being named Chrono was fluctuated with curiosity and broke the Guardian's forbidden rule of seeing the origin of the multiverse. In Justice League, who are the children of Mars, they explain how when the Guardians were young, they found a tablet that was so ancient it was before the universe. It explained the dark story of an entity that is far more powerful and dangerous than anybody in existence. And at that moment, the Guardians decided this was the biggest secret in the multiverse, and no one should be allowed to go back to the beginning of time. But Chrono broke that rule, and seeing it was a humongous hand. This is also mentioned in Action Comics' Death in Action, when Lex Luthor dies and meets the concept of death. He doesn't want to believe that's death, but she proves it to him. In the comics, she starts showing him his life, and then he tries to convince her not to claim him. But the main thing I want to look at in this story is when Death brings Lex to a private dimension. He starts explaining his scientific view on the origin of the multiverse, and then mentions the Big Hand Theory, which is a direct reference to what Cronus seen and what the Guardians are trying to hide. But this all begs the question, how does any of this relate to the video? Well, we're getting there. In Justice League, the origin of the multiverse revealed, they directly confirmed the Hand Theory to be correct. And then at Multiverse's end, John Stewart explains to Owlman that the creation of the universe came from an unseen hand. So all of this begs an even more important question. Who is this unseen hand? Is it God? Is it Lucifer? It's actually neither. When we go back to Justice League, the origin of the multiverse revealed, we directly see the hand that was making the multiverse was a being named Perpetua. And Perpetua's siblings, race, group, whatever you want to call it, is the Hands. This is a race of super celestial entities that originate from the void. Their power infinite. This is the most powerful race in all of DC. So let's begin explaining them. When the Hands are made, their first task is to make a multiverse. They do this using power from the Source. The Source is a being of boundless energy and is kind of like the Hands' father. It's the being that sources all of existence. He gives the Hands power and then tells them, go make a multiverse for me. But there were rules. Back in Multiverse's end, John Stewart explains in the beginning there was only the Source. Then the Source sent out Perpetua to make a good multiverse. And then after she's done making it, she must die and give up her power. And then after her death, she would ascend to an even stronger version of her old self. Here's the writer talking to Imaginary Access explaining it.
Like if she did what she was supposed to, she was kind of a nascent thing. And if she did what she was supposed to ascend. She died.
So if Perpetua followed the rules, she would have ascended. But she broke them and made an evil multiverse, and made an army of apex predators because she didn't want to die. Her siblings that did ascend and the Source didn't take this nicely though. The Source sent down the Cosmic Raptor, which is just another hand that ascended, but it was sent to trap Perpetua in something called the Source Wall. She would be trapped there until final judgment from the Source. And from then on, the secret of Perpetua would be the darkest secret of the multiverse. So now that we got their lore out the way, how powerful are they? So we know there's kind of a hierarchy between the Hands, so let's start with their non-ascended form. Some of the power the Source gave Perpetua to make a multiverse was the 7 forces. In Justice League The Doom War Begins, they explain how this is basically the 7 most powerful forces in the multiverse. So let's quickly explain what they are. The Speed Force. The Speed Force is an omnipresent force that gives all motion in the universe. Every speedster's speed, abilities, power comes from the Speed Force. Next is the Emotional Spectrum. This gives the universe emotion. Any lantern you can think of is powered by this concept. There's a variety of rings of emotion, but the most powerful one is the White Lantern ring. And next is the Sphere of Gods. It is the source of all magic in the multiverse, home to all the gods in the universe, including Trueform and Darkseid. These are the 3 most notable and powerful forces, and Perpetua held these 3 forces and 4 others in the palm of her hand, using them to make a multiverse. And this is only the beginning of her power. Get ready for much more. So when Perpetua made the DC multiverse, she also made 3 children. The main child I want to look at though is the World Forger. She made his realm, which is the Dark Multiverse. And if Perpetua made the Dark Multiverse, then she also made the World Forge because that's a part of it. Here's why that's impressive. This is the Darkest Knight. He's holding a literal multiverse in his hands. He's a nigh omnipotent being that became the strongest in the multiverse. I have a whole video on the character if you want to learn more about him, but essentially Wonder Woman used a piece of the Forge's power and defeated him. And if Perpetua made the entire World Forge, then imagine how powerful she is. And that isn't it for Perpetua. She's also a 6th-dimensional being that exists outside the regular multiverse. And all powerful entities like Mr. Mixie have stated they are the most powerful beings in creation. So beings like Dr. Manhattan and Darkseid are all below Perpetua and her children. And that's still not it. It's impressive that beings like Mr. Mixie are admitting Perpetua's above him, because in World's Funniest he proves he's capable of beating up this Spectre with galaxies. He's also obliterated the whole universe before for fun, even destroying the 5th dimension, which exists outside all of time. But this is just child's play compared to what I'm gonna bring up next. We know Perpetua is a 6th-dimensional being. Here's why that's really impressive. Back in Justice League 2018, prisoners of the 6th dimension, when the Justice League is trapped in the 6th dimension, betrayed by Batman, who's working for the World Forger. The Forger explains to Batman since he's a 6th-dimensional being, he's too powerful to exist in the multiverse. He also compliments Batman for being one of the smartest people in existence, which is a great Batman feat. Moving back on track, Superman one-shots the Forger, after the Forger lowers his power to travel the multiverse with the League, and even then he can still make a universe at the swing of his hammer. And they also note in Justice League issue 37 that these 6th-dimensional beings can't really die. And in Justice League issue 35, while Perpetua's weakened, she one-shots a universe. But even with all this power, there's still beings that ascend Perpetua. Get ready for much more. The Hands are cosmic gods of the Omniverse. They reside in the greater Omniverse, existing beyond infinite multiverses. After this ascension, the Hands seem to be this cosmic eraser for when the multiverse goes bad. Such as in Death Metal issue 7, when the Darkest Knight explains the multiverse got so evil, the Hands are gonna come down and erase every story. And it happens. They obliterate the entire multiverse and every action in it. Yes, every. The Hands then proceeded to bring the multiverse back without boundaries with ease. They explained to Diana how when they make a multiverse, they intend it to be good. So when bad creatures like the Darkest Knight happen, they're gonna have to erase it. And in Infinite Frontier issue 0, it's revealed they made the new Infinite Frontier continuity, whilst also all the manipulation Dr. Manhattan did to the timeline was erased by them, further proving they deserve the status of DC's strongest race.